For exercise 5-5, the first thing that we want to make sure that we do again is we go to Blackboard and we have our imperial and metric templates downloaded just so that you have all the layer controls that you're going to need for these assignments. Once you have that downloaded, I'm going to go to AutoCAD here and we're going to take a look at this exercise. So here again, I've got my front face is colored red, my top face is colored yellow, and my right side face is colored green. So when I take a look at this, if I just look straight at the front side view, I can see that I've got kind of this U shape that closes up at the top and then the two visible lines right here. Those two visible lines come from this edge along here and this edge along here. When I look at the top view, I can see that there's a lot of stuff going on here, and some of it's kind of clear and some of it's kind of not clear. So I just want to orbit this just a little bit so that you can kind of see what's going on, and then I'll go back into a true top view. The overall shape of the top view is a rectangle, and it's got this visible line and this visible line that will also show up in the top view. But if we take a look here, we've got a line that comes through here, a line that comes through here, and a line that cuts this thing right here. What those are is those are the hidden lines for this particular object. So I need to keep in mind that I do have edges that exist in this model that cannot be seen from the top. So those are going to be what make up some of my hidden lines. When I go to the right side view, again, this C shape right here with the overall shape of a rectangle are the only visible lines in this. When we take a look at this line right here and this line right here, if we look, those are actually edges that are being obscured by the front face, so those are also going to be hidden lines. So the way that we're going to do this is we're going to draw the visible lines first, and then from there we'll go back and put in the hidden lines. So I'm going to click on New, and I'm just going to go to the the metric file, and I'm going to go ahead and start this by just drawing my front view. So this is going to come over 30, and then it's going to go down 40, comes across 80, goes back up to the same dimension as this, comes back in 30, and then there's going to be a little bit of math involved at this point, but what I'm going to do just to kind of make my life a little bit easier is I'm going to start using the offset command a little bit. So we'll bring that down 10, and then I'll put another line in over here that's 10. At this point, I'm going to go to offset, which is this button right here, and type 10, enter. And I'm going to offset this in, this down, this, and this. And then I can go back into offset and put in a distance of 15, and I can offset this piece. Next, I want to go to trim, and when it asks me to select my cutting edges, I can just hit enter to use all. And I'm going to click where all of these corners come together so that I have nice, neat corners to work with. So that's almost the whole front side view complete. I am going to go back to offset with a distance of 15, and I'm going to offset this bottom line up, go back to offset, distance is 10, and bring this one up. I'm going to go back to trim and select these two edges right here as my cutting edges, click enter, and then select to get rid of those parts. So here I've got my completed front view. Next I'm going to work on the top view. So I'll go to the rectangle command, hover over this endpoint, move up, type in 25, enter to set my view spacing. And the overall shape of this top view is a rectangle that is 80 by 40. So if I just type in 80, 40, I can get my top view. And then I'm going to go to the line command and I'm going to project this edge straight up. And then we'll project this edge straight up. And that is all of the visible lines that I have for my top view. I'm going to go back to rectangle, hover over this point, and then track off to the right, type 25, enter, and then I'm going to draw a 40 by 40 rectangle for my right side view. At this point, I'm going to track off of this point right here to get here. This goes in 20, and I didn't draw that line straight, so I want to undo that. This goes in 20, and it's going to come down to the point where it would meet up with this, and then draw that out to the end. Now, this edge right here, even though it's not part of this cutout feature, is still visible because it is part of the back of the object. But as far as visible lines are concerned, this is all of the visible lines in this particular exercise. So the next thing I want to do is I want to focus on the hidden lines. So if I come up here to where it says model, this is my layers. I can click on model and come down here and select hidden lines. I may have to change the color for the recordings because I don't know how well the blue is going to show up, but it should show up okay. So now I'm going to go to the line command and I'm going to track up from this point to my top view and draw in a blue line there. And then I can track from this point up and get that blue line. This hidden line represents this edge. This hidden line represents this edge. Now I have this back edge right here that also needs to be represented by a hidden line, and that happens to be at the midpoint of this face. So this hidden line represents this back edge. I can then track off of this point to get the hidden line that comes over here, and then track off of this point to get the hidden line for here. So here again, we just created the 3 views that we have, and then after we had all of the visible lines in place, then we went back in and just tracked off of the edges that we already had to get where our hidden lines were going to be. This is the first exercise with the hidden lines, but make sure that you go to the hidden line layer before you create the lines. If you create the lines, just as an example, I'm going to draw a line right out here. If I draw a line and I wanted that to be on the hidden layer, I can click on that line and then come up here and change to hidden lines, and it will change the layer of that line for me. If you go back and draw anything after your hidden lines, make sure you come back up here and change the layer back to 0 or model. Either one is going to be fine. But that is exercise 5-5.